Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another podcast of The Meeting Space. This morning, early Sunday morning interview with Daniel Mason-Jones. Lovely Daniel, thank you so much for accepting my invitation to connect and to chat with me and give some very useful tips and advice to our listeners. Welcome.
Thank you very much. What an honor to be here with you.
Of course, gosh, when we met at the Connect meeting in Orlando, I remember seeing you at the trade show the first day or something like that, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy just like your energy called out to my energy. I immediately felt that we will be chatting at some point during the meeting. And then I also thought that I know you from somewhere. Your face looked so familiar, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot stop staring at this guy because I know him. I just don't know from where. So thank you for accepting my invitation for the podcast and being willing to take time out of your busy schedule.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Daniel, tell me a little, and the listeners, tell us a little bit about you. What do you do, and what are you known for?
That's a loaded question. So thank you for having me. What an opportunity to be here with you. And it was great to meet you at Connect. So I guess I would start by telling you that I'm a hairstylist. You know, that's the core of what I do every single day. I have a salon here in Atlanta, Georgia, and it's been an amazing ride. We have about 60 hairstylists inside my company. It's a really fun thing. But over the past 16 years, I found a passion and a calling for education. And I started to teach color, and then that evolved over into business, branding, marketing. And as I continue to grow, I keep finding different versions of myself. And I think that's something, it's a call inside of each and every one of us. There's more inside of us than we realize. And so I continually push myself to grow. And with each of these opportunities come more opportunities. And so funny enough, just going backstory, I do vision boards. I believe in planning and writing out what it is that you want out of life, because I do believe there's an abundance of everything for all of us. And so this year when COVID happened, as it affected every business, I thought, all of my eggs are in the beauty basket, from education to owning a salon to being a hairstylist. That was frightening to me. So I was like, the information that I have that I teach, I need to somehow pivot and move it into other areas. Granted, I'm still going to be where I am, but I wanted to move it. And right behind that, just as it would happen when you really focus and plan your life, I got this contact information and was asked to come to Connect, which is where I met you. And it was my first time really speaking outside of my industry. And what I realized quickly was that every industry needed the same information that I provide for the beauty industry. So being a hairstylist, being a coach, and really just, if I had to give you one title of who I am, I'm a grower and supporter of people. I love to grow and support people.
I love that. That is an amazing title to give yourself, Chief Growing Officer.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
That is amazing. It's so interesting that you mentioned pivoting and in time of COVID, because I think a lot of us small business owners needed to figure it out and figure it out quickly. And I agree with you on the abundance of everything, and putting things in and putting it out there. Either it's a vision board or, you just really meditate on it and, speak it out loud. I had a very similar experience at the beginning of COVID, where for 2 weeks, when events and meetings industry you knew that it will be a long recovery road. And the hotels were being shut down, and suddenly meeting planners were sitting at home, no work. I realized, oh my gosh, what can I do to support my family? And for 2 weeks, every day, I would, ask and you shall receive. I would be asking myself for creativity where can I start being creative to pivot? Either it's jewelry making, either it's whatever. What is my path through this COVID? And 2 weeks into it, I got a phone call to start another business, and so far that other business was able to provide for my family, and I have been so grateful. But this is totally the for me the evidence that there is an abundance of everything out there in the world, and if you just open yourself up, the opportunities will come. And that's what it sounds like happened to you with the Connect. And you were awesome. I found your information so relevant to
Thank
what
you.
I'm trying to do, with two businesses. Marketing, branding, promotion, all of that is so important to get the word out there to people.
Yes.
So let's dive into the topics of today that we will be discussing. It will be, we will go wherever conversation takes us, of
Love
course.
that.
But what really stood out to me from your chat at Connect was the branding piece and elevating your video game and video promotion game. And I know how intimidating video can be. And you saw on my Instagram my first attempt into video marketing.
It was great. It was great.
Thank you. So let's start there. Video marketing, do you go, how do you break that maybe block that you might have within yourself? What are some useful tips and advice for
So video is scary, right? The first time you do a video, you're a nervous wreck, your palms are sweaty, you have all the insecurities. All of us have the same thing. And I often say this from the stage. I'm like, look, I guarantee you right now across this room, someone hates how they look, or they don't like how their hair looks, or their skin, or their makeup, or their beard is crooked that day they shaved wrong, whatever it might be. And the other thing is that we don't like to hear our own self speak. We don't like our voice. When we hear ourselves in our own head versus hearing a recorded version of ourselves, it's intimidating. It's like, who is that person? But here's what I want to, like, whomever's listening to this right now, I want you to understand that you've already been seen. You've already been heard. So, and the great news is you're here to see this again or to listen to this again. So you're fine. You survived that. And what I want you to understand is that you have a calling in your life. This comes to a point, it's going to get down to your why. If you don't know what your why is, then you can't share it comfortably. I'm very clear with my why. My why is to grow people. It's to help people. It's to help them find their calling. For me, being a hairstylist was never a job for me. This was a calling. And so I love to make people feel and look their best. And then when I started my company, I wanted to help my teams really dive in and be as successful as they could possibly be while making other people see their vision of looking, feeling their best, and serving other people. So you have to get clear of what your why is, number one. When you're clear of your why, it makes it a lot easier to pick up that phone or the camera and sit in front of it and do the video. But when you start to do a video, I'll give you a couple of my favorite hacks. When you start to do your video, think of the last time that you took a selfie. Your angle, right? Like I know mine is center brow, left-hand side of my face. That's my best. So I want to make sure for if I'm going to be using a tripod or someone's filming me, that's the angle they're coming from because I'm most comfortable there. If you're sitting on a Zoom call like we are today, the people can't see us here in the podcast, but I have my body leaning forward 15 degrees. That's strategic. I'm leaning forward because it helps me project my voice, but I also make sure that I'm looking at the green light on the Zoom. I would love to look at you this whole time and see what your reactions to face, but because of video training, I look at this green dot the whole time. On my phone, it's the same thing. There's a little lens at the top. You want to look into that. So I recommend so many times to take 2 Post-it notes, cover the screen of your phone, put the bullet points of the topic that you want to speak about there, and look into the camera lens. This is going to alleviate so much uncertainty and so much stress. You're not going to see the comments. You can't see how many people are watching you. All you're focused on is your content and providing that to your audience.
Wow. That is really amazing. Thank you for those few tips. I did use your posted comments, posted notes.
Isn't it a game changer, right?
It is.
I love it.
And I covered the phone for my first video, so that was a game changer for me. I didn't see myself. I was focused on the camera, and even right now on the Zoom, my eye is going from you to the camera, from you to the camera, and I know you can see that, but it's so hard for me to speak to that little dot there.
It is.
I want to focus on you and your face and your expressions to read your body language. And I think that's where we are today, so challenged with so many Zoom meetings, is that, you do need to be more, first of all, if you are focusing on the camera, you are in my peripheral vision. So
Correct.
I am not maybe necessarily catching all your body language.
Yes.
And that might be challenging to read kind of the room.
Yes.
And when you meet face to face, that is not an issue. I'm looking you in the eyes and I can see your facial expressions and what you are projecting. So I think that's where maybe the Zoom fatigue comes in, and people crave that face-to-face connection even more. But let's go back to the video marketing. So we've got the posted notes, looking into the camera rather than yourself covering your phone screen with posted notes. I loved what you said about you've already been seen, you've already been heard. There is nothing. I have Amazon truck coming with gifts for my daughter because it's her birthday coming up. So my dogs are going crazy.
So this is the real life.
Yes, it is definitely a real life. So now when you record yourself, what do you do later on with that video? Do you have any apps, any advice on where to go to, make it funnier, make it, put the filter on it? What would be the next steps after the video is done?
So, I always recommend, a lot of people are completely overwhelmed. We're overwhelmed with our jobs. You guys in the event space, like it's a lot. So we don't have time to be video editors and spend, 20 hours a week editing video. That's just not reality for any of us. And so I encourage you to get the video and listen. I'm going to tell you the real stats right now. People actually respond better to unedited anything. And so even on my podcast, I tell people, for instance, with the dogs barking, I'm like, whatever happens. I want people to understand that we're real. And that goes into the number one thing in video marketing is being authentic. So, I put all of my video editing through, for me personally, I use iMovie. I use iMovie. I don't really use a lot of the other things, but you can create that content for so many populated channels. So, for instance, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, wherever you're living with your video, you can take that video and edit it for every different category and platform, understanding that each one of those platforms has a completely different audience. Instagram is 15 to 34 years old. Facebook is 30 years plus. So knowing what your audience is. Now, if you want to make it playful and put it over onto Instagram, you're going to make a reel out of it. You can take the reels, put it into a 15-second video. You can add captions, you can add filters, you can do all those things. But make sure that you've duplicated that same video and keep it professional for all of the other platforms and channels. So you can be super creative without making and creating a lot of video content, because again, time is something that a lot of us don't have a lot of. So making sure that you just populate that over to various channels. And, if you want to have fun and be playful, do that on Reels. You can use even Snapchat. You can go in and kind of change up the looks on things, but I recommend keeping it pretty simple. Make sure, the other thing is when you're putting your video content out, is making sure that you're making the engagement. You're selling that video. You're selling that photo. You're asking questions versus saying, we had a great event today. That's great. I'm proud of you that you had an amazing event. However, I would put that at the top, or underneath if it's on Instagram in the description. And I would say, what is the last amazing event you attended? Right? Get them to talk about their cousin's wedding or that amazing work party that we used to have in 2019 where we had Carrie Underwood come sing or whatever. Get people to talk about their events. The biggest thing when we're putting ourselves out in branding and video and marketing is making our customer the hero.
Mm.
Make the customer the hero. It's never about us. So make it about them. I really had an amazing, for me as a hairstylist, I had an amazing time today doing this color. How beautiful is this young lady? She looks incredible. Can we give her some love? Put it on them. And you're going to see so much more engagement. And engagement is going to get more people to you, which is building contacts, which is building relationships, which is building your financial future.
Yes, definitely. That's one thing that I struggle with. Now that I heard you talk at Connect, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go into the video marketing. I'm going to do it. I finally did my first few videos. And in some of them, I remember from your chat, you were saying, put it on them, put it on customers, ask them questions.
Yes.
And then some of them I did. And, so far I had 1 or 2 engagements here and there. So I'm definitely growing.
Consistency.
Yes. But I do try to put 1 or 2 videos a week out there. And, hopefully that will grow to, 1 video every day. I'm moving towards a target. So it's definitely great reminder for me that it is all about the audience. It's
and another thing that you're so great, your accent, I just love your accent.
Thank you.
But in the event space, something that you could do is you could do an IGTV and pre-plan. So if you're going to invite someone on, if you one of your specialties is weddings, you're planning weddings, get a local, everybody wants promotion right now. So contact someone that has a bridal salon just around the corner. They sell dresses, and say, hey, I would love to have you on my IGTV tonight. Let's talk to the brides, invite the brides on from your channel, from my channel, and let's do a Q&A. What are some of your concerns with having a wedding? As the marketplace is changing, what are the top 5 things that are crucial for your perfect wedding day?
Wow.
Now you're going to attract people into that space, right? So you have to think ahead of what the customer wants and give it to them. For me, moving forward, if I were talking to an event planner, with what I did last year, there were rooms that I would speak to that had 5,000 people in it. Now we can't do that. So I would say to you, hey, moving forward, I used to have 5,000 people in a room. Now I might be able to have 100 spaced out at 6 feet apart. What would you recommend? Or, should I do a hybrid class? Because that's something in your area of expertise that I would want to know that I don't know. Mm-hmm. So think about what it is that your customers want to know. The other thing that I always recommend is all of you are receiving questions inside your DMs, your email accounts, whatever. So whatever those most frequently asked questions are, that's what you should be building your content around, because that's your audience. When it comes to branding, people will often say, well, my smile is my logo, my brand is my personality. It's absolutely not. Your brand is what someone says about you when you're not in the room. Wow. So whatever people are asking you, they're telling you what they see your brand is.
Wow, that is powerful. Whatever people are saying about you when you are not in the room, that just hit me right between the eyes. So I should have that somewhere in my office as a little motivational board. That is awesome, Daniel. It's marketing and branding. A lot of people think that it's this, extensive, you need to go to school, get a degree in it. And from what it sounds like, what you are saying, it really is not. And it is just you being willing to explore yes. different avenues that are available to us so freely these days.
Exactly. So many people will try one time and give up. part of success is failure. You have to fail over and over. And I laugh, people in my industry, they look at me, they're like, oh my gosh, you've gotten to where you are. And that's amazing. I want to be there. Well, that's cool. I had a young guy reach out last week. He's 19 years old. He reached out through social media and he says, I want to be like you. I was like, you don't want to be like me, but you do want to be the best version of yourself. Chances are you're better than I am. But he looks at me, but you have to understand, I told him, I said, I have been doing this for 1 year longer than you've been alive.
Wow.
So, my overnight success has taken 20 years. And I constantly read. I'm never without a book or a podcast. And to your point, the information is available everywhere. When you're looking at branding and putting yourself out there, again, number one, where you want to start is, what is my why? Why do I do what I do? Simon Sinek is one of my favorite people of all time. And he's got the golden circle. The inner circle is why. And then there's the how, and then there's the what. So you understand that you are an event planner. That's great. How you plan, is it strategic? And you have to be careful with how you're planning, how many people are coming, the safety components, all the things that go into that. But the why do you plan events? Why did you get into that industry? What was it that made you want to give somebody a perfect day or a perfect space or a perfect meeting? There's a reason. So, people need to know what that is. And then we need to dissect that into authenticity and then what the customer needs and wants.
Well, thank you so much for all of this. This is, I hope that whoever is listening is taking notes, because I will be going back, re-listening to our chat just to make notes, and then have that as my roadmap to, answering some of those questions for myself. Every time I think I answered the question, something new comes up, and it's, I can relate very much so to what you just said about always be learning. And, for me, podcast is absolute must. Like, I will go for a few walks throughout the day to get my steps in. And every time I'm listening to the podcast, I'm learning about something. And, a lot of people doesn't realize that the role that I'm playing in the events and meetings world, it's being a consultant. So also a lot of my work and my marketing will be going into how do you promote consulting business. And I found few podcasts that are just a wealth of information where I am learning how to do that, because I don't necessarily go on site and work. The meeting planners do that. And I work with meeting planners. I am independent meeting planner, but what I do is a part of their job that maybe they don't want to do. Maybe they don't have time to focus on, and they pass it along to me. And I'm able to put all my energy, all my effort on just that one part. And it's a beginning stage of the meeting planning process, which basically sets everything up for future success. So, it's more consulting, and there is so many podcasts on different, and they are free. So you can just plug it in and just listen to industry pioneers that you don't even know about. And just learn from them directly from your phone. So I definitely love you don't grow if you don't want to learn. And sounds like learning is number 100%. One for you.
It's so important. My son is going to go away. They're going to be out of school this week. So my son's going to go spend the night with his grandmother tonight. And I love him, but I'm so excited that he's going, because there is a book. I actually have it sitting right here, right now. It's called Better Decisions, Fewer Regrets. And it's 5 questions to help you determine your next move. So it's a very small book. So this is my evening tonight. I cannot wait to read this book. And but we have to keep learning. And that's why I started my podcast. It was the same thing. I was like, when I first started, and maybe the listeners here want to start their own podcast or their own video series or a YouTube channel. And you're like, well, I don't know how to get started. How do I do that? Just do it. In the words of Nike, just do it. Put yourself out there. And my podcast, I wanted to create, I was like, I don't want to talk about beauty all the time. So it's called More Than Beauty. And I was like, I want to talk to people like you. So um, these moments are really powerful to talk to people because we all are essentially doing the same thing. We're all doing the same thing. We just want to serve people and give our information freely.
Definitely. And your story just resonates so much with me. You're like, you, you are just like saying what is happening exactly in my life. I wanted to make a podcast and I didn't want it to be just about the meeting and event industry, but I did want to focus on that for 90% of my time. So I'm like, well, the meeting space, because we meet different people in the meeting space, you know?
Oh,
So
that's so amazing.
I was just, and I just did it. I just did it. I'm like, you know what? I will just do it and I will see how awkward it can get.
But it's really amazing. And I don't know if you have experienced this, but people reach out, people refer your podcast out. So, where they might talk about your Instagram, or they might talk about your Facebook, or they might talk about LinkedIn. Those are all great connections. But now you have another source of potential income coming through podcasts because you're meeting people. Maybe somebody says, hey, I'm looking for an amazing event planner, or I'm looking for a consultant. And they say, wait, I've got your girl.
Yeah.
And they send you over. And that's happening to me right now. In fact, we have something in the United States. You probably are aware of this because I know you love beauty. It's called the NAHA Awards. It's the North American Hairdressing Awards. So it's for the United States and Canada. And it's a very prestigious, like it's a big deal. Every hairstylist, makeup artist, whomever enters, it's about 35 to 50,000 per entry. So it's not, this isn't your rookies. This isn't your people that are hobby hairdressers. These are the real deal. And I was asked to be the judge for the NAHA Awards. And that came through putting the podcast out. Someone discovered me. The podcast linked them over to my Instagram. And they're like, why did I not know about this guy before? And so, there's opportunities everywhere. And, if you look at Warren Buffett said you had to have 7 streams of revenue to become wealthy. So take that component out. We need to have 7 forms of communication so that we can become known, because the competition is fierce. And 2020, with coronavirus taking over everything, and a lot of people leaving their workspaces physically to sit in front of a computer, and people are starting online courses, people are coaching, people are doing all these things. How do you stand out from all the noise? And it comes down to humanizing your brand. How can you humanize who you are? Video. So I tell everybody, get over yourself. Get up, turn on your favorite song, dance it out, do whatever you need to do, and then come sit down at your computer and just record and record and record. Because otherwise, think about, what happened to Blockbuster Video?
They are out of business because, and this is why.
Netflix came about, right?
Yes.
I will stand today with branding. Talk about the power of branding. I would travel sometimes 2 cities per weekend to teach and coach. I would be standing in front of a taxi that could take me right then. And I would go to my phone and wait 15 minutes for an Uber or a Lyft.
Why?
Because it's the brand. It's modern. It's fresh. It's new. I trust them. Why do I trust them? Because they've marketed themselves well. So you're no different. Whatever industry you're in, we have to jump into our marketplace and stake our ground on what we want to take. Like, I could just be another hairdresser. There's a hairdresser on every corner, but I refuse to be that. I wanted to be the hairdresser that not only could do really awesome color and cut, I wanted to be the hairdresser that could help grow people.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to grow people like you, that I would never touch your hair, right? Like, we're far away from each other. Or maybe one day I'll get lucky to do your hair. But, how do you just take every market space? And one day, none of us are going to live to be like 200 years old, right? We have a time limit. Why don't you want to maximize the time that you're given today? Yeah. If you don't do it, somebody will do it for you.
Right. Oh my gosh. So much wisdom. I will be replaying this podcast every day just to have my little motivational boost,
God love you. You're amazing.
Thank you. So it all comes down also, video marketing, branding yourself. It is part of the bigger plan, and that bigger plan is you want to provide for your family and for yourself, have a comfortable livelihood, and you know let's talk a little bit about the financial side of maybe a small business, because as we were not recording, just so a little background of for the listeners, Daniel has mentioned to me some statistics, and I was very impressed, first of all, that Daniel, you know those. And it sounds like you are very financially savvy. So let's chat about that. Would you recommend first steps to knowing your numbers should be? Can you speak to that?
Of course, so to your point, I do know my numbers, and there's a reason why. We're going to go back to the why again. You're going to see a pattern here. Everything I'm doing in coaching is I'm going to take you back to that core center of why. So I grew up in South Carolina in a super poor home. My parents worked day in, day out. My mom had so many jobs, I can't even count them. My dad worked third shift. They were hardworking people, but we were extremely poor. And I do know now that I think my parents gave all their money away to other people. I think they gave it to help other people. I was so fortunate to have them. But I knew that I didn't want to grow up in that same cycle. And so I originally went to college to be a funeral director and embalmer. I had worked in the funeral industry for a long time. And then I came to Atlanta, Georgia, to work in the funeral home. I completed my school and realized that I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be a hairstylist. And so then I ended up in that industry. So I was like, how could I make a decent living? Now, in my industry, it's not a very lucrative career. Hairdressers, just to give you an insight on hair industry, the average hairdresser makes $22,000 a year, and they work about 60 hours a week. And I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to work 60 hours a week and live like my parents did. I'm not going to do it. And so I started looking at different ways at that point in time. I was 22 years old, excuse me. And I started just really hustling, and I did everything that I could. I would outwork anybody in the salon. The people that they didn't want to do their hair, I was like, I'll take them. I didn't care if it was the kid that had suckers stuck in their hair or if it was grandma that was cranky. I didn't care who it was. And I would love on them. And I would let them know how special they were. And very quickly, I became extremely booked. I didn't understand the concept of money. I didn't understand finance. I didn't understand budgeting. I didn't understand investing. None of this stuff. Luckily, I worked in a high-end salon, and I started to ask my customers. I asked them, how to save money. And one time to tell you how tight money was, I would shop at Goodwill, and I went into the Goodwill to buy my clothes, black, and then I would go buy dye to make them look new. And I remember buying my clothes in the Goodwill, and there was a book. It was by Susie Orman. And I picked up that book. It was 50 cents. I picked it up. I still have it. It's actually sitting beside me here. And I was like, why is this women in money? That sounds crazy. What about men in money? It's the same principle to me. And I read that if you started saving a certain amount of money each month, it was $33 a month, that by the age 59 and a half, you would have $1 million. And in that moment, I remember standing there in the store. I was like, wow, $1 million would be so amazing to have. I can't imagine having $1 million. Now, you and I know now that $1 million will get you nowhere unless you live in really small town America. But here in Atlanta, it's not going to get you very much. And so I started really applying every principle that I had read. I saved my money. I was packing my lunches. I'm releasing a free financial course in January to this same tune because I want to help people out. And so, and understand, if you don't even know me, but I'm not a boastful person at all. I'm just me. And, but what happened was I ended up becoming a self-made millionaire by 27 years old.
Wow.
Because I applied principles. And what I did was I took the number, I started teaching myself this. I took the number of what it was that I wanted. So if I wanted to make $1 million a year as a hairstylist, which is what I've done now for the past 6 years, I know I take that number and I back it in. So $1 million is the end game. So you always want to start with the end game in mind. Even with your video, anything that you do, start with the end game in mind. If you want to lose weight, I want to weigh 160 pounds. How do you back into that number? So $1 million a year. I was like, okay, so I'm going to essentially have to go in and count how many days a year I'm going to work. At the time, I was working 6 days a week. So divide 6 into $1 million. And then I started like figuring into how many days a week or how much money I needed to generate each day. And I was like, I work 12 hours a day. So now I know what I need to generate per hour. And I just backed into those numbers so that I would understand where I was going. It's just like navigation or Waze or Siri or Google Maps, whatever you use to get around. If you don't take the time to plug in where you want to go, you'll never get there. Right? We could say that we want these strong relationships or we want the money or we want whatever, but unless you write it down, it doesn't become real. It's simply just a thought. So knowing your numbers is really, really important. If you know that as an event planner, you want to make $300,000 next year in commission, then you need to figure out how many hotel blocks you need to book. Once the hotels are going again, what are the commissions that are going to pay out of those hotel blocks or the convention centers or, however that works for you, and start backing those numbers in. And it's like, okay, so I need to sell 13 events next year at X amount of dollars. So in order for me to sell 13 events, what events would those be? Are they going to be weddings? Are they going to be bar bat mitzvahs? Are they going to be whatever? And then figure out how I'm going to go through a social media campaign and recruit and build those events, and there's easy ways to do that with your hashtag strategy. So many people don't understand that hashtags are the most essential form of marketing right now. You can use a hashtag and pull in all sorts of business. I share with you all in the class there in Florida, there's a website that's called displaypurposes.com. You go to displaypurposes.com, you can type in your topic, and there's actually a map button that you click on. You can expand it and get the hashtags, copy and paste them to each one of your posts. This is what's going to help you start driving that traffic in. So you have to be very thoughtful with everything that you do. And this year, because there's been so many distractions, we've all been distracted by politics, by COVID, the people that pro or anti this or pro anti that. We're spending all this time talking about things that aren't booking you events. They're not booking me hair clients. They're not booking me speaking engagements. So I always say, if it doesn't make me better, kinder, more helpful, or more money, I don't participate.
That is a very healthy principle to have. That is amazing. And so simple, so simple. After we finish here, I'm going to be backing out.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Because what you're going to do is you're going to be like, oh my gosh, this wasn't that complicated. So in your mind, as like looking at a hairdresser, how much do you think I would have to do as a hairdresser each day?
I'm going to say about...
This is a fun game.
It is a fun game because now I'm thinking, okay, I'm trying to do a math here very quickly in my head, but I'm just going to throw an easy number there. $1,000.
I need to do $3,300 a day, essentially. So $3,300 a day divided by 12 hours a day is $275 an hour. That means I need to do 2 highlights an hour.
Wow.
Right.
And that's not possible. Highlights an hour, like, unless it's a half head or just the crown,
Or unless you hire, like for me, I hire an associate. I hire another hairdresser that I train beside me, and we do the customer's hair at the same time. And how I sell that, how I position it, isn't that I want to make $1 million a year. I position it as, hey, I understand, Magdalena, that your time is valuable. And I want to be able to serve you, give you the most amazing highlights of your life, but I want to respect your time as well. So this is Sarah. She's my right-hand color protege. She's amazing. We're going to color you together. You're going to feel like a superstar. And we're going to color you at the same time, have you in and out, and have an amazing experience at the same time. So that's what I do.
Wow.
You have to figure out a strategy. So I pay this person $12 an hour as they're learning and growing underneath me. And they're learning how to be an incredible hairdresser. My customer is getting an amazing experience, and I'm making the numbers that I need to make so that I can give back to charity. We're hyper focused on charity. Here our charity that we give back to is Cure Childhood Cancer, and so we believe in really funding the research for children with cancer because no child deserves to have that. So I want to keep working so that I can do the things that I need to do.
Yes, definitely. And nothing, like I get that, having money is crucial to, have a certain comfort of life, but nothing feels better than giving.
Oh, it's the most beautiful thing in the end. Once you understand the power of giving, we could do another podcast on this. Once you understand the power of giving, it's life changing. There have been so many moments that I won't share, but so many moments of things that it will take your breath away. I keep thinking that I want to post. We were able to do something for someone back in August. It was an 83-year-old woman, and her life story is just, you can't even comprehend what this lady's been through her entire life. And so what we were able to give her and do for her was so amazing. And when we did it, she almost collapsed. She literally almost collapsed she was so overwhelmed.
Wow.
And those are the moments that we all should live for. And yeah, cutting hair is great, and I can make you look amazing. That's fine. But it's taking the money from that and doing something bigger, taking the money from your event planning, or, even some of the events that you all plan could be around charity. And you can make such an incredible difference in someone's life, and that's how we have to think. We can't think about the numbers for ourselves necessarily. You have to be responsible and plan. The numbers will always come. When you serve your passion, when you serve your purpose, the numbers will always come.
Yeah. That's very true. And now, and I know this is not you trying to, be boastful or arrogant, but I'm very curious what you guys did for that lady. Do you mind sharing, or do you want to keep that private?
I'll share with you. It's a tearjerker, actually. And I have the videos of the process, and I learned a new side of me this year that was very funny. The videos that I have on my phone, no one's seen them, but they're hilarious. I decided, so this lady, she's 83 years old, and I got to know her about 20 years ago. She's one of those people that once you meet her, you have to love her. Like you can't get her out of your system. She's just the most precious lady. And so as I got to know her, I was like, why are you so nice to everybody? Like, she's such a sweetheart. And it was about 3 years after I got to know her that I found out she was an orphan. Her parents, it was terrible. She never had a home growing up. She would bounce from home to home to home. And people would take her because they would basically use her for work or for laundry or for their gardens or their gardens for farming. Like, they worked this lady to death, and when they were finished with her, they would pass her on to the next person. So basically she was used. And she's such a kind woman. So over the getting to know and love her over the years, her husband passed away last year, and it was a very sad situation. They had been married for 66 years and just in love, super adorable couple. And their home wasn't the very best. And there had come a time where finances really bad. She was trying to clean houses still. He was working in construction. He would haul dirt from site to site. So this is like blue collar, like beyond blue collar. And so when he passed away, we happened to be in the room when that happened. And the last words that man heard were out of my mouth. And I told him that I would make sure that she was cared for. I was like, I promise you that she will be cared for. She will never have a worry the rest of her life. And upon that, he literally took his last breath. And so I went into her house and I told her, I was like, if we could move you out for 5 weeks, I want to do something special for you. And so we moved her out of her house for 5 weeks and completely restored, renovated the house. Everything from, it had the popcorn ceilings, I took those out, provided all new hardwood floors, ripped out all the bathrooms down to the studs in the wall, made it more efficient for an 83-year-old lady. It was very dangerous for her to even live there. and the wiring was bad in the house. So the house is basically completely new now, and we filled it with new furniture and all new accessories, new clothes in her closet. She had lost a lot of weight over the stress of her husband passing. So when she came home, she she had an entirely new house. She had all new clothes in her closet. She had all new everything, and I tried to go with the colors that she liked, and it was so funny. One of the colors that I chose to accent in her house was blush. She's an 83-year-old lady, and she's not going to live with another man in the house. And I was like, let's make it feminine and kind of soft. And so I put all these touches of blush, but in particular in her bedroom, it's gorgeous. It's creams and blush and eucalyptus, and like it's really amazing. She walked in and she started sobbing hysterically. She was like, I can't believe anybody would do this for me. And I was like, it was an honor. It was going to get me choked up. It was an honor to do this for you. And as we walked through her house, we had done a memory wall in her house. It was like her marriage license of her husband. And I did all these white frames with her family, and just celebrating who they were. And she says, I can't believe, she goes, this is all mine. It's really mine. And I said, it's all really yours. And she goes, I've never had anything that wasn't a hand-me-down or from a consignment store. She's like, I can't believe this is mine. I said, it's yours, and I want you to enjoy it. She goes, and this color, she goes, why did you choose this color? I said, I don't know. Every time I would go into a store to buy accessories, this color would speak to me. And her husband's name was Robert. And she said, this was Robert's favorite color for me to wear. I can't believe you've chosen this color. And so she just lost it. And it was a really beautiful moment to know that we are here for a bigger purpose than ourselves. And, I understand that every day, through all the things that I'm lucky enough to get to do. But, by working hard, it's allowed us opportunities like that to change somebody's life. And, it's just important to show up for people. People need it.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I literally had chills when you said that it was his favorite color.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It blew my
That
mind
is
too.
amazing.
When she said that, I was like, oh my gosh. But yeah, it was a wonderful, and the house looks so pretty now. Like it's just cozy and fresh and new, and yeah.
That's amazing, Daniel. That is absolutely amazing story. And those are the moments worth living for. No money in the bank will ever make you feel that way. However, thanks to money, that kind of things are possible.
I'll DM you the I have some videos. I'll send them to your Instagram.
Please do.
There, grab tissue, because when you see her reaction, you're going to need it. But yeah, so going back to your brand, this is what, for me, being a hairdresser, I never want to be just a hairdresser. And I know you, from what I know of you, you would never just be a consultant or an event planner. Like there's so much more to you. And a lot of times people will say, well, I'm just a hairdresser. I'm just an event planner. No, you're not. Or I'm just a photographer. Write this one down, because it's my favorite quote of all time. The words you speak build the house you live in. The words you speak build the house you live in. So every word that you murmur out of your mouth becomes your reality. Mm-hmm. And like I said a while ago, the brand isn't your logo or your business card or your website. All those things are very important. That's not who you are. It's what people say about you behind your back when you're not in the room. So I want people to say behind my back, backing into the equation again, what do you want somebody to say about you when you're not around?
Yeah.
Just like planning that $1 million, what do you want them to say? How do you build your life around that? If you want to be known as a kind, compassionate, caring person, or the powerhouse that doesn't have time for nonsense, like whatever your brand is, you be that. But make sure that you back yourself into that brand. I want to be known as somebody that cared. That's what I want to be known as. A hairdresser that had an artistic side, that was crazy nerdy and loved to read and study and grow. But I love people. I love people. And, if you go on any of my social media accounts, I think that's a common theme that you'll see, even on my Instagram with so many followers. I don't get those negative people that come on and leave ugly comments. That's not my brand. I don't attract those people. I like nice people. I love motivated people that love to share and give. And so that's somehow I've accumulated a lot of them over on one page. And it's amazing. Even at the Connect conference, the people that I've talked to, you're the one that I've talked to the most, afterwards, is I got the nicest people in the room. So that's part of your brand.
Wow. For me, now that I'm thinking about it, it's, for me, it's always been animals, always been animals. And, that's what I'm known for
I
is,
love that.
I nourish myself in a certain way that doesn't harm animals. I buy things that doesn't harm animals. Everything that I use is in coming from that place of love for animals, and
Exactly.
um, that is what is important to me, and I try very hard for that also to um, transfer into people.
Yes, yes, exactly. All of us,
So,
everything on this planet is here to serve each other. I
yeah.
think once we realize that, we become very powerful.
Yeah. So we are almost running to the top of the hour here. And oh my gosh, I could spend another 3 hours chatting with you. But Daniel, quickly, how did you grow your following? You mentioned that um, have a big following on Instagram.
Yes.
Granted that you have been in your business for 20 years or more, and you are the branding expert and marketing expert. What are the tips for beginners like me to grow the following? What would you say?
So it's funny. Instagram to me was never a priority. In fact, my Instagram probably has blown up in the past 3 years because I remember when I was like, God, if I could just get like 1,000 followers. I remember that. And then I got to 2,000, and then I was like, gosh, will I ever get to 5,000? And sadly, I was counting the followers. And then it happened. I was at 10, and then it jumped to 20, and then it jumped to 30. And I remember somebody said to me, after you get 30,000 followers, it's no longer fun. It becomes a job. And, I was like, no, that's so crazy. And I kept it pretty fun until it was 40,000 followers. And then, as it continued to grow, and then it would double from there and then go up some more, I was like, oh my gosh, now I'm getting like 200, 300, 400 DMs a day in my inbox. So I don't even post a lot anymore because I'm so busy responding to people. But I love that. I love talking to people. Your video, your DMs, you should be responding back to people through video on there. So I haven't done that to you yet, but people will message me and they're like, how should I do this? And I'll hit the button down, send them back a quick video, and it blows their mind. They're like, oh my God, you took the time to send me a video message. If I would have written them back, I still would have been taking time, but that's the expected. The writing you back is the expected. A handwritten letter is not expected, right? A video is not expected. So do what's not expected. And so people say, they'll go, I'll see them. I get tagged all day long. This man changed my life. I'm going to be sharing a testimonial soon on my social media, probably on Instagram, of a young lady that she's taken my advice, and what it's done for her business. It is crazy. It's literally crazy. So just help people. Your social media is there to help people. You are a problem solver. If you look at any successful company in the world, even the Post-it note, go back to the Post-it note. Why was that created? People are losing those little papers everywhere. So they put a sticky on the back of it so it would adhere to something. Velcro, all the things that people have created and become extremely successful with, they were offering a solution to the problem. So when people come to me and they want their hair done, if their hair is curly and they can't get it to curl right, or maybe the front's curly and the back's not, my job as a professional is to tell them, hey, we could add texture to the back, or we could release the texture from the top, or your hair turns orange. How do I keep it from turning orange? We can do X, Y, Z. This is what you need to use. I post on social media and I'm not getting comments. If you're not getting comments, you're not asking questions, right? If you say, I love my life under a caption, people are like, good for you.
Right?
What do you love most in your life? If you're listening to this right now, I challenge you to put up your next post, whatever graphic or video you want to, and ask underneath it, what is the most amazing thing? List one amazing thing that happened to you in 2020. watch what happens. Watch what happens. People start to tell all the things that have happened that are positive. Or you could be negative and say 2020 sucks.
Well, I don't want to chat with you then, negative
Exactly.
Nancy.
Then you're going to attract those negative people. And those people are not welcome on my page. I don't want them. So think about what it is that you're putting out into the world, because what you're putting out is exactly what you're getting back. And another thing that I want to say to you, with the exception of sickness, with the exception of death in a family, with the exception of coronavirus, where you are sitting right this very minute, where you are in your life this very minute, is exactly what you asked for 3 years ago. You are sitting exactly, think about it, where you are right now. You said, hey, I want to start this event business or this consulting business. How do I do this? Maybe I want to start a podcast. Here you are. I remember saying, I want to reach to a bigger audience. I never in a million years thought that I would do a podcast. And then I started the podcast. I'm like, holy smoke, it happened so quickly. And it's another, as soon as I launched it, I didn't even think anybody would even listen to it. I laugh. I'm from the South. I've got a country accent. I was like, who's going to listen to me? And I did it. And within the third episode being launched, I had 6,000 subscribers that had come through. And I was like, where are you people coming from? I've never promoted it on Instagram. Maybe I need to do that. I talk about it in my stories, but mostly people are promoting for you. So here's the deal. If you think about, and I know we don't talk politics or religion, but if you think about religion, whichever one it is, it does not matter to me. I think they're all wonderful as long as they make you a good person. If you think about how it works, somebody bought into the message, right? And then they became the evangelizers. They shared it. Same for a great restaurant in your town. If I go to eat at this amazing place that I know they have, I love zucchini. So anything that has zucchini in it, I'm like, woo woo. So if they have zucchini fritters, if I go there and they're really delicious, I'm probably going to go into my social media and be like, guys, if you have never tried the zucchini fritters from XYZ restaurant, I'll tag them. You're missing out. Well, now I'm the evangelist for that restaurant, right? You all promote something, whether it's a movie, a restaurant, a sporting event. You're doing that. So how can you get people to do the same exact thing for you? You want people promoting you.
Wow. High five. Amazing. Amazing.
So thank you.
No. Like, you are I have soul sisters, you my soul brother.
I love it. I'll take that. I never had a
love
sister.
it.
You can be my first.
I've never had, I have soul sisters that are, my soul sisters. They are not sisters. So by blood, but I do have a brother at home. But you are like my soul brother.
The one that you can choose.
Yes, yes. Gosh, I just want to tell you that, like, I live by the with conscious decisions, that whatever decisions I make today, they drive my future.
100%. And you and only you do that.
Yes. I bought a home in 2009, bought a little town home. 10 years later, I made the price of the house doubled.
Wow. That's amazing.
And I was able to sell it in a moment where my family was in a really tough financial time. Because me and my husband, we both, I got let go from a job in May. He got let go of his job in June. We both lost jobs within a month of each other. And for me, I became very aware that decision in 2009, bless you.
Sorry,
you're good.
Hit me for that.
That the decision that I made in 2009 became my reality, shaped my reality in 2020. And it was like a tangible moment for me where I realized the power of what you do today dictates your future. Absolutely. And when you said that, I was just like, yep, he's my soul brother. That's it.
Well, you're
Thank
stuck.
you. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
all the kindness and for all the beauty that you put out there.
Thank you.
I absolutely love seeing your posts. I love seeing your stories. I'm a little obsessed. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not. And then on the just a little comment to the unexpected. Even though you have not done video chat back with me in the DM, I must say it was very unexpected to receive a voice note from you.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
It just makes a difference. You got to be, when you look at Seth Godin, he's one of the most brilliant branding people in the United States. He wrote a book called The Purple Cow. You don't need to buy it. All he says is if you're driving from here to California, all the highways are shut down and you're passing through farmland and you see brown, white, black cows, all of a sudden you're 400 miles in the drive and you see a purple cow. What do? You stop to take a picture of it because it's different. So when you're thinking about your brand message, when you're thinking about your marketing, when you're thinking about how you behave in public or in private, be the purple cow, be different, be better, because you have the control and power to do that. So yeah, all this is important for you just to put yourself out in a bigger, better way. Yeah. The world needs you. The world's hurting. There's so many people that are broken. Share your positive voice, be authentic, be real, and just love people. When you see people that are real and want to give true love to people right now, they stand out. And like I said, you never know, you could save somebody's life today. So just love people and do what you love. It doesn't mean that you have to make $1 million a year. If your soul is happy and you're eating and you can pay your bills, God bless you. That's an amazing thing. So many people don't live that life, but just find your true calling. And, you guys can all find me on my website. I do have a new website. So if you go there now, don't judge me. My web developer is a little bit slow, but he's the best. So it's danielmasonjones.com. And I actually, on the website that's existing right now, have a social media roadmap that you can click on and get. And it teaches you exactly what to post for 365 days if you find yourself getting writer's block every day.
Wow. Thank you. So danielmasonjones.com. I will also post it in the podcast notes.
And the new website is going to be way better. In January, it'll be launched.
Very awesome. And then you are also on Instagram. You talk about Instagram. Yeah. So you are on the Instagram at
Daniel Mason Jones. And I have a lot of free videos over on YouTube. Just go to YouTube, Daniel Mason Jones. You'll find me there too. Even if it's a styling tutorial, but there's a lot of social media. I give a lot of social media tips on YouTube.
Very good. Very good. Thank you so much, Daniel, for this.
Oh my gosh, what an honor. Thank you. I hope you have the most amazing week ahead.
You too. We are walking into Thanksgiving week because we are recording this on November 22nd. We're going into Thanksgiving. So let's disconnect on an amazing note, and please share with our listeners here, Daniel, let's do 3. What are 3 things you are grateful for?
Oh, that's going to be easy. I am so thankful for my family. It's amazing that we built just a perfect family together, and we love each other so much. So I love my home, my family. I am so incredibly grateful every day for the health and just vision that I have, not just the vision physically that I can see, but the vision that I can see ahead. And I'm grateful for health. Without incredible health, we're nothing. We can't do anything at all. And I'm thankful for the people around me that allow me to serve them in a bigger way. I could give you a list of a million things, but those are the things that I'm truly grateful for. And they help power me to be better every single day.
That's amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much. You truly are an amazing individual that I am very honored to know. Thank you for being on this podcast.
Thank you.
And have a wonderful Thanksgiving week and holiday season, because we are going into holidays.
32 days till Christmas.
Yay! Stay healthy and stay well. Thank you so much, Daniel. Have a wonderful rest of the week.
You as well. Thank you.
Thank you.